Hi, my name is Robert. Please read the comments in the About section of this video. It has valuable information and updates. My YouTube channel has a disclaimer video that I encourage you to watch. And please like, share, and subscribe. I hope you found what you're looking for. Thank you very much for watching. Working on what I believe is a 71 P1800 coupe, and we're going to do these bushings down here under the suspension. So we had to special order those, got them in maybe from Texas or somewhere. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove the bolt out of the bottom of the shocks. Then I'm going to put a jack under it, manual crank jack. Then I'm going to pull that bolt out from there and see if we can press these in and out right there while the rest of the suspension is still together on the car. Yeah. We have the bolts out of them, the control arms hanging down, and we're going to press the bushings in while it's on the car like that and work on getting the bolts back in. Here's the threaded press arrangement to press out the bearing, and you get your ratchet on there and just ratchet it and push it through. Because we were doing the bushings on the vehicle like this, we used a manual press. Just cranked it in, pressed the bushings in place, and that's how they're sitting in the control arms. So go ahead and lower the press and put it back in place. Put that bolt back through there. Make sure that bottom bolt falls through that shock into the hole there, so you can bolt that back up on the control arm. Alright, we have the lower control arm frames bushings pushed in, and we had an issue with the disc brakes. This car had all-wheel disc brakes back here in 71, and the rear driver's brake caliper was sticking. So we needed to figure out if it was the caliper, a little pressure control cylinder just in front of the axle, or one of the brake lines. The bleeder screw loose, and it let the caliper loose pretty easy. We reapplied the brake so it grabbed again. Then we broke the line loose right in front of that pressure controller, and it held the brake. We broke the line loose right behind the pressure controller. It still held the brake caliper. We broke the line loose on the back end of the rubber hose, and it let the caliper loose. So the rubber hose on the front side of the axle is bad, and we got to find a hose to replace it. Here's that brake pressure controller, and those are the two lines. What we believe is happening is this line here has an internal failure and is acting like a check valve. So we're going to replace it, going back to this rear caliper. Volvo back in this air and all the way up into the ABS air had a triangular brake system. So you had two front wheels were linked up with one back wheel. So if you ever lost one of your brake systems, you will still have three good wheels controlling the brakes. So your front calipers are dual pistons. They have two brake lines going to it, as you can see there. So if you ever had one of your systems fail, you still had 75% braking. You didn't drop to 50%, and both of your front wheels was still good with a braking system. So I moved this P1800 out. We're waiting on the brake lines to come in, and in case you don't know, a gentleman has, I believe, a 69 P1800 with over 3 million miles on the vehicle. Kind of a weird setup. Probably hadn't seen a car this old in a long time, but there's your tachometer, your temp, your oil temp, your odometer, a couple of other pressure gauge, fuel gauge. I can't imagine somebody driving 3 million miles in one of these, but he has. To open the door, you pull this. To lock it, you push it forward. and that locks the door. It's locked. The guy that owns this vintage machine is interested in selling it. I think it was imported from Europe by a military member, and if you're interested in buying it, let me know. It does have some body rust on it, but it's not real bad. So there's where the rust is that I can see, this lower rocker panel area on the driver's side. Other than that, it's not in too bad a shape. Have this 95 850 here with the notorious fuel odor, fuel leak. So we got it up, lowered the tank just a little bit, didn't pull the bolts all the way out. Got to pull that hose off from there all the way up close to the access panel on top. Thomas lowers the tank a little bit, so he gets this clamp back here from the bottom and up top. Since the tank is dropped an inch or two, he could get the rest of it from up top. I'm getting ready to work on this 96 850. It's having the reverse tail light problem. That little hose, I replaced the sensor in that coolant bottle. That looks like that top clamp is still leaking a little bit. So I'm disconnecting the mass airflow sensor. I'm pulling the air box up. And now I'm going to access the switch for the reverse light switch right there. I'm going to unplug it, remove the old one. Reach down, unplug it. Now it's actually wet. Wasn't wet last time I seen it. So let me go get a socket that'll fit that. I think it's probably going to be a 22 millimeter. I got this switch from FCP. To the left is the old one. To the right is the one I'm replacing it with. And here's the box that it came in. It's an aftermarket one. Has those numbers there. And that's the number on the front of the box. So I'm going to go ahead and screw that in after I check, see if it has a washer on it, plug it in, and test my reverse lights. I have the new one screwed in there, not sure the torque value, so I put it at about 18 foot-pounds. I'm going to go ahead and plug in the connector, and then I'm going to get in the car, turn the key on, put it in reverse, and see if I have reverse lights. And there I have it. I now have reverse lights after replacing that switch, so I'm good to go. Let me move on to figure out what's going on with the turn signals and flashers again. Now that I know that's working, I got to stick this back into the fender spot there, that rubber grommet. Then I'm going to clip the front down, hook up this little preheat tube, hook up my mass airflow plug, plug in my coil wire because I unplugged that, then put my air intake scoop on. I'll be all done. Next thing I'm going to do is remove this thermostat housing top because it looks like the gasket is leaking a little bit down there, and I have a fresh gasket for it. So I'm going to pull that off, put the new one on, and get this car returned to the owner. Alright, I got the T40s out of that housing, and I replaced it with 10 millimeters. I replaced the seal, and the person that replaced this thermostat before did not scrape off all the calcium buildup and stuff from the previous one, and that was causing a minor leak. So should be good to go. I'm going to check under the car for a evaporator leak. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.